Hi, my name's Venus O'Hara and welcome to another video. The other day someone wrote to me and asked me about my top tips for sex toy shopping. So I had to think about it and I've come up with what I think are the 3 most important features of a sex toy according to my experience and opinion. And those 3 things are 1, the shape, then the texture or the material, and finally the motor in the case of a vibrator. But before I talk about those 3 things in detail, I think it's really important to know, I think it's really important to buy your sex toys from a reputable brand, and of course to know how much you want to spend. Of course, that's really important. So anyway, let's talk about shape. I think shape is really important when it comes to a sex toy. For example, if you don't have many sex toys in your collection, I think it can be interesting to go for a sex toy that has different shapes. For example, maybe a pointy part of the toy and maybe a rounder part, because then you can vary the types of stimulation. For example, some people enjoy indirect clitoral stimulation, which would be, let's say, a rounder toy. And then some people like more pinpoint stimulation. So if that's your case, then I think it's important to get a toy that has some kind of pointy element in it. Also, it's important to know which part of your anatomy you want to stimulate, the clitoris, the G-spot, or the A-spot, which is a little bit deeper inside. There are not many sex toys that stimulate the A-spot, actually, unfortunately. But we're all different, so it's good to know your anatomy and see how it applies to the world of sex toys. Because if you look at, for example, G-spot stimulators, they all look very different. So some people like a wide girth, some people like a narrow toy. So yeah, you just have to think about what type of stimulation you enjoy, and then try and find a shape that suits that. And okay, next thing, texture. The texture of material is very, very important. You have to make sure it's a body safe material, non-porous material, so it's not going to give you any infections, and it's easy to wash. I like silicone, so I think that's really important. I know years ago lots of sex toys were made out of jelly, which was terrible. But in terms of texture, I think it's important to have a texture that feels nice in your hand and can adapt to your body temperature quite quickly. But I know that maybe, I think other people might think the texture of the surface is probably more important than I do personally, because I actually use condoms with my sex toys. Because I've seen over the years, I've tested so many sex toys, and I've seen with even materials that are body safe and non-porous, some silicones can be like a dust magnet. And I think that if you're, let's say, sharing the experience with someone, let's say you wash your toys, then you put them on a bed, and then you get down to business with your partner, and then it gets to that moment when you start using a sex toy, God knows how many more dust elements there are on the surface of it. I just think, I don't know, I prefer, at least with a condom, I know it's a new surface every time, and they can just open it up just before using it. So that makes me feel, that puts me at ease anyway, personally. But if it's external stimulation, then I don't use a condom. It's so in that case, with a clitoral stimulator, the texture is more important. So I prefer a silicone rather than plastic or glass or anything like that. But yeah, silicone really. And then motor, I think that's really important. There's different types of motors. There's like a light buzzy type of vibration, and then deep rumbly vibrations. And lots of sex toys have lots of settings or vibration patterns, but in general most people only use 2 or 3 of those patterns, and I personally like to use the strongest, most continuous vibration settings, unless it's something like a toy that has dual stimulation, and I might use one of the motors with a pulsating setting, and then the other one with a continuous one. So that's good to vary it if you can. But what's really important with motor is also the positioning of the motor For example, some sex toys, they have the motor located where you hold the toy, which is ridiculous. And it should be close, as close to the where the clitoris is going to be as possible, really. Or the G-spot if it's a G-spot stimulator. So I think that's really important as well, the position of the motor, and it has to be strong enough. The only one time I didn't have an orgasm, from 2 sex toys, and one of the times was because the motor was just not strong enough. So I think it's good to have a good motor. And they are my 3 top tips for sex toy shopping. Anyway, I hope you like this video and see you next time.